Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. Before we go any further, please give us a rating on Apple Podcasts. If you want to stay up to date with all that's happening in Tan and J-Man Show Nation, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Tan and J-Man Show. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. We are back at it. Can't believe it's already Monday. Seems like we were just sitting here yesterday, but here we are. This episode is brought to you by the Dam Landing. Whether you want an epic burger, hand-tossed pizza, hand-breaded tenderloin, seafood, craft beer, or a handcrafted cocktail, the Dam Landing is the place to be. The Dam Landing is a bar and grill located on beautiful Lake Manitou that focuses on freshness and quality. The Dam Smoke is here every single weekend, and it features barbecue and steaks. In addition, you can wash it down with one of their 16 beers on tap, including a constant rotation of today's best microbrews and domestic flavors, or a handcrafted cocktail made using fresh ingredients. Take in the fantastic views of Lake Manitou in their beer garden or outdoor bar area. Whether it be boat or wheels, the Dam Landing is the place to be, located at 1305 Ewing Road in Rochester. Tanner, I assume, watched a ton of Big Ten football over the weekend.
You assume correct.
It's a pretty easy assumption.
Yeah. It feels like college football has begun for me. I know that sounds weird because college football has been going on for a month or so, but just the Big Ten being back made it feel like it's back.
It also helps that it's 50 degrees and cloudy out. That helps it feel like
football
Big Ten football season.
Heck, we're going to see some Big Ten football in some very chilly conditions.
Love it.
This year, unlike any other. But I'm
glad
it's back. I thought it was a good week of Big Ten football, and we'll get into that. Of course, we got some World Series action to catch everybody up on, and a lot of NFL action going on. So, jam-packed episode. We're happy to be back with you this week. Happy to be on time. Apologize again last week for the technical difficulties, but sometimes that happens. But we got a promo code for everybody. If you want to order some Tan and J-Man Show merchandise, go. We got the link on our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. Click the link, click Tan and J-Man Show store, and when you go to checkout, use the promo code SPOOKY. That's all caps, SPOOKY, and you get 20% off most orders.
It's Halloween on Saturday.
I saw the gears turning on your head. I'm like, he's going to say get something, but it is Halloween, so I thought.
Spooky!
And the promo code ends at midnight on Sunday. So you got till Sunday if you want to get yourself a sweatshirt, a hoodie, zip up, t-shirt, short sleeve, long sleeve, tank top, shirt for your child, sticker, mug, whatever. So
get some swag.
Support our show and order some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'd appreciate it. Ready for the Birdie Bogey?
Let's hear it. You say it's going to be an easy one.
Well, I think you got a good chance.
Which means I have no chance at all.
Yesterday was National Tight End Day.
Right.
I want to know what tight end has the most touchdown receptions in the history of the NFL.
Okay. I have two guesses that come to mind, but you'll have to hear them here in about 52 minutes or so.
Can't wait. Mark Scott once said.
Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Noble Gnome, LLC. Fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce from Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Get your veggies.
Wow, that sounded painful.
I think I have a hernia. Are you ready to learn some stuff on this day in the history of the sporting world?
Yes, sir.
On this day in 1950, Branch Rickey, best known as the sports executive that broke the color barrier with signing Jackie Robinson. He didn't personally break the color barrier, but he signed Jackie Robinson to the Brooklyn Dodgers. He resigned on this day in 1950.
Played by Harrison Ford, wasn't he? Or was that a different character in 42? Harrison Ford played somebody.
I think was Harrison Ford Branch Rickey? I don't remember. I think he was too. Yeah. In 1951, future world heavyweight boxing champion Rocky Marciano defeats former champ Joe Louis by TKO in the 8th round at Madison.
That was pretty good for the Joe.
Square Garden. You haven't heard of Rocky Marciano either?
No.
He's one of the greatest boxers ever.
I know the movie Rocky.
Rocky Balboa. You've never heard of Rocky Marciano? think he died real young.
I'm not very good on my boxing history.
I'm not either. I've heard of Rocky.
I have not.
He died at the age of.
See, you taught me something today, J-Man.
That's what this segment's for. I shouldn't be.
Exactly.
No, I apologize.
Yep.
1960, the American League approves Washington Senators' move to become the Minnesota Twins and announces franchises in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. for 1961.
They moved quite a few times.
Oh.
Senators, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that name just kind of changed hands a couple times because the Rangers, Senators, then the Rangers, and then whatever. I'm thinking the Nationals also in the Expos. Never mind. Just keep going.
I think the Washington Senators, the original Washington Senators, moved to Minnesota, but some other team replaced them in D.C. and became the Senators as well, and then they moved to Texas Rangers, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right to me.
That sounds about right. We're probably wrong. I know one guy that would probably tell us if we're right or wrong. Huh?
Yeah, I know. He's probably be buzzing my phone here, so that's what I said.
1968, future world heavyweight boxing champion and grill master
George Foreman
wins the Olympic heavyweight gold medal in the final against Jonas Chapilos.
Wow.
Soviet Union is stopped in round 2 at the Mexico City.
Do you have
game.
a George Foreman grill?
I did.
You did have one at one time?
No free ads. I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. There's my cooks the flavor out, cooks the fat out.
Yeah, George, come on.
Come on, George.
You know,
not trying to lose weight over there.
Backstory on the George Foreman grill. The company who came up with that first approached Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan went with the thermos, Hulk Hogan thermos instead of the grill. He thought the thermos would sell better. He was wrong.
He was wrong.
Could have been the Hulk Hogan grill instead of
I'd
George
rather
Foreman.
cook a burger in a thermos than a George Foreman grill. A lot of Olympics from 1968. A lot of Japanese men. Let's see. Not a whole lot of great ones here. 1980, the St. Louis Cardinals sacked Baltimore Colts quarterbacks in an NFL record, tying 12 times. I don't know if that's been touched since both franchises are no longer in the cities where they were then. 1981, the Los Angeles Dodgers beat the New York Yankees 4-2 in the 78th World Series. 1982, Steve Carlton became first pitcher to win 4 Cy Young Awards. 1985, on a poor call in the 6th game, umpire Don Deckinger starts a string of events that cost the St. Louis Cardinals the World Series. You hate to see it. Have you ever seen that poor call at first base? I'm sure you have.
I probably have. I just don't.
Yeah, the guy was out by a wide margin. They called him safe because they thought he didn't have his foot on the bag, even though he did. 1988. Oh, Donald Trump bills Mike Tyson $2 million for 4 months of advisory service.
Oh, that's pretty laughable. Just headline within itself there. Characters.
I think Tyson should have been Trump's running mate back in 2016. That would have been interesting.
That would have been interesting.
Even more so than it already is. 1993, the National Football League announces new expansion team, Carolina Panthers, in Charlotte.
Yeah. Well, 93?
93.
Yeah. Yep.
1996 World Series, New York beats Atlanta Braves 3-2 in Game 6 at Yankee Stadium to win club's 23rd title. Can you name who was the MVP?
96 MVP. Core 4 were all young, so it was an older guy.
Not who you're thinking. I don't think there's any shot you'll get this.
David Cohn?
Closer, John Wetland.
Yeah, no, I could have guessed 50 guys.
Yankees won 114 games that year, but got down 2-0 to the Braves and won 4 straight.
The Braves won that one game, like we said last week, on this day, 11-1. I think they scored a lot of runs that year in the playoffs. The Braves did throughout the NL.
That was a good Braves team. 1997, the Florida Marlins beat the Cleveland Indians 4-3 in a walk-off in Game 7 at then Pro Player Stadium, now Hard Rock Stadium. Who was the MVP?
For the Marlins? Man.
I believe Edgar Renteria had the game-winning hit.
He did, and Counsell scored. But those are the only two I can think of on that team. So
Levon Hernandez, you remember him?
Yeah,
pitcher?
I do. Yeah, but I wouldn't have guessed him.
Yankees beat the Mets in the Subway Series in 2000 on this day to close out that World Series. Who won MVP that year?
2000 MVP. Was that Jeter?
It was Jeter. Yeah, Mr. November. Before he was Mr. November.
Yeah.
The White Sox won the World Series this day in 2005. People kind of forget that.
Oh, my God. Who was the MVP for them? Scotty Pasenik?
Jermaine Dye.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's such a forgettable World Series.
2018, I remember this one. Longest baseball World Series game by both innings and time. Pretty sure it hasn't been broken since because we've only had 7 World Series games since. The Dodgers beat the Red Sox 3-2 in the 18th inning. 7 innings, 7 hours, 20 minutes.
I honestly don't remember that.
I do. Max Muncy had a long walk-off homer.
I
remember it pretty vividly. I did not stay up for the whole thing.
You were the walking baseball encyclopedia of Fulton County. You got to remember stuff like that for your reputation.
Reputation. That's going to do it.
That's all you got?
For On This Day.
That's all you got. Well, the On This Day segment is brought to you by Proforma Print House. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or sales meeting, Proforma Print House has over 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for fast and efficient response to all your print needs. You need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today. Give them a call at 574-210-3815.
Speaking of the World Series, it's going on right now. We could have a
Fall Classic, is this called?
Could see the Dodgers clinch and win their first World Series since 1988 tomorrow night.
Well, my gosh, if they don't get it done this time, when are they going to do it?
When's it going to happen? This roster's set up to win one and win quite a few. They should have already closed one out, but they had one of the most heartbreaking World Series losses I've ever seen in my entire life on Saturday night, where old Brett Phillips, who hadn't had an at-bat in 19 days, I think it was longer than 19 days. I think it was like middle of September.
No bad habits.
He stoinked one out there into a center field, and Chris Taylor botched it. And then Randy Arozarena falls down, rounding third. And Max Muncy gets it, throws it to Will Smith. Will Smith, thinking that there's going to be a play right then, doesn't catch it and goes to turn, even though all he had to do was catch it, and he would have had the guy out. And Randy Arozarena scores. Right then, I was kind of thinking, man, it might not happen for the Dodgers
might be
again.
Destiny for the Rays.
But yesterday, it started out huge for them. First inning, score 2 runs, kind of get that in the rearview mirror. And they ended up winning, so they're up 3-2. Tomorrow night, we have Blake Snell against, I think Tony Gonsolin is starting for the Los Angeles Dodgers. You picked the Rays in 6. That's obviously not going to happen.
I did? Mm-hmm. Did I really? I thought I picked the Dodgers in 6.
Pretty sure it was the Rays.
I know I picked the Dodgers in a bet with a friend. So
pretty sure you picked the Rays. You might have meant to say Dodgers, but it came out Rays, unless I'm misremembering. But do they force a Game 7?
No.
This will be the J-Man's Book It prediction of the week. I think the whole world's rooting against Los Angeles Dodgers because they're the Los Angeles Dodgers. Give me the Rays in 7. I think they win back-to-back.
That would be pretty cool.
Games. That'd be really cool. Yeah. I'm hoping it happens. I know too many Dodgers fans not to hope it happens. I don't want to see them happy ever. So go Rays.
Yeah. I don't know any Rays fans like that. Like the Rays are actually their favorite team, personally.
Loyal listener, my great uncle Louie. He is a Rays fan. Yeah.
Well, go Rays for Louie.
Go Rays for Louie.
His Seminoles are having a tough year, so.
They've had a tough half-decade.
Except at least they did beat North Carolina 2 weeks ago. That was a good win.
They got waxed by Louisville, didn't they?
Yeah, I thought they would beat Louisville. They were like 10-point underdogs. I'm like, they're going to cover and win this thing. They got smacked. Wasn't even close. So, and by a Louisville team that hadn't been playing good. But if you're done with MLB, you want to hop right into college football?
Sure, let's do it.
Well, you didn't watch too much college football. A little bit.
Really didn't watch any.
A little bit Big Ten, but yeah, Big Ten, man. I thought there was a lot of good games, a lot of interesting storylines coming out of Week 1. Started Friday night with Illinois at Wisconsin, and Wisconsin just massacred them.
With a second-string quarterback who then tests positive for COVID a few days later.
Graham Mertz, redshirt freshman. We kind of talked about him last week on our Big Ten preview show. He was an Army All-American. 2 years ago, so you knew he had a bunch of talent. But how's he going to fare in his first full game? Jack Cohn's out indefinitely with a broken foot. Well, he goes 20 for 21 and 5 touchdowns.
What did he start, like 18 for 18 or something like that? I think it was close to a Big Ten record, if not a Big Ten record.
He was something else the other night.
Yeah, it's just typical Illinois. Have a little bit of hope coming into the year and then just get shellacked, albeit against a really good team. But
they did not look
they're just
well.
not.
Brandon Peters had a bad night.
Offense sounds like it had a bad night.
The best 2 plays I saw were QB runs by Peters for like 25 and 30 yards apiece. And that was in the first quarter. But Illinois just struggled both sides of the ball, but particularly offense. And Wisconsin just did whatever they wanted. It was very eerie to see a Camp Randall at night just completely empty.
Did they still do a jump around even with no one there?
Yeah, they did it virtually somehow. Yeah, I didn't. I kind of tuned out at halftime. The game was kind of already over. But like you said, Graham Mertz now tested positive for COVID-19 over the weekend. You got to have 2 confirmed tests. I'm guessing they already got the results back, but nothing's been said. Of course, Paul Chryst didn't say anything. The university's not going to say anything. The only way you're going to know before Saturday's game is if Graham Mertz comes out and says it himself. But if he's not on the field Saturday in warm-ups, you know what happened. And not only would he be out for this week against Nebraska, he'd be out next week's home game against Purdue, and then the following week against Michigan.
That's excessive to me. You see every other conference and in the NFL, MLB, all they had to do was be out 10 to 14 days.
The CDC guidelines.
Tops. Yeah, and I don't know why they have to
They
stretch
are doing
it
the
that.
21 for that. I can't pronounce it. The heart condition.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is why they're doing the 21 days. Which still, in my opinion, is excessive, but that is the reason the Big Ten. And really, if they didn't agree upon that, I don't think we would see Big Ten football right now. I think they were really strict on that, between the presidents and the chancellors and all that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that Graham Mertz situation. But that started out the Friday games, and Saturday we had started with the noon games. We had Nebraska at Ohio State. Nebraska came out and punched Ohio State in the mouth with a 3 or 4 player drive, 80-yard drive with touchdown, and it was a back and forth game for most of the first half. Then Ohio State really put on them in the second half.
Justin Fields looked great.
Yeah, like I tweeted, I still think Lawrence will be the number 1 pick come April, but Fields is going to make people at least think about it a little bit.
I think that's your top 2 right there. I honestly do think that will end up happening.
2 teams are going to get 2 good quarterbacks out of those 2. They're head and shoulders better than anybody else.
Right.
Which Trey Lance is probably 3rd. And
he's only playing 1 game this year.
He already played it.
Has he already played it?
Yeah, they already played a couple weeks ago. So he's got to put up numbers in the combine. But Ohio State looked good. I think they are head and shoulders better than the rest of the Big Ten. They actually jumped up to number 3 in the polls. They jumped Notre Dame. Notre Dame fell back to 4th, even though Notre Dame put the shellacking on Pittsburgh.
I think I picked Pitt too, didn't I?
I think you did. Okay. I thought Notre Dame would win a close one. I did not see them going on the road the first time this year and killing Pitt, but they did that, and I think they'll do the same to Georgia Tech this week and set up a huge showdown, which will probably be game day next week. Clemson, Notre Dame next week. But
go Tigers.
So Ohio State got through Nebraska pretty cleanly. Then the other noon game was Michigan State and Rutgers. I even mentioned I wouldn't be surprised if Rutgers wins, but I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger. Michigan State looked awful. 7 turnovers.
I was going to say Rutgers forced a ton of turnovers.
Lombardi, man, make him throw deep. That's all you got to do if you want to. Make him throw deep to beat you. And if he can do that, then
great name, bad quarterback.
Yeah, Rutgers snapped a 21-game conference losing streak in Shiano's first game back. Not a good start for the Mel Tucker era up there in East Lansing, and now they got Michigan this week.
Fun. Who looked great against
I'll
Minnesota.
Get to that here in a little bit. Was that the only other noon game? Was there only 2 noon games? Well, through 3:30 games, you had both teams in the state of Indiana hosting 3:30 games. You had number 8 Penn State at Indiana and Iowa at Purdue. Indiana knocks off a top 10 team for the first time since '87. First time at home since '67.
That was the game of the weekend, I think, in all of college football.
Yeah, with the ending
going into overtime. Penn State choked. Really, Penn State thoroughly dominated them.
Yes.
They outgained Indiana 488 to 211.
Yeah.
According to College Football Reference, a losing team having 475 plus yards against a winning team with 225 or fewer has happened only one other time since 2000. Indiana against Oregon in 2004 when Indiana beat them.
I couldn't have told you they played Oregon in 2004.
They've done it twice. The Oregon one was even worse. They gave up 495 yards of total offense, had 198, and somehow
Penn State
managed to win.
Sean Clifford threw 2 picks. Their kicker missed 3 field goals, including a 27-yarder. And like you mentioned, if that running back falls down at the half-yard line, they can probably run out the clock and win the game. And instead, he goes into the end zone, which we saw Todd Gurley make the same mistake yesterday for the Falcons in their loss to the Lions, which right when he did that, the announcer said, this same thing happened yesterday in the Indiana-Penn State game. So if I'm a college coach, pro coach, high school coach, if I want to teach clock management towards the end of the game, I play both of those highlights over and over again to my kids. But Penn State's still in overtime, or it still had an 8-point lead. Indiana goes down and scores pretty quickly and then gets a 2-point conversion. And Penn State scores first in overtime. Indiana scores. And I was watching the game with my mom. My dad was out getting some food, and I said, if Indiana's smart, they'd go for 2.
Yeah.
You got nothing to lose.
Got to go for the win.
Go for the win. And Michael Penix had one of the closest calls you'll ever see in college football, but I think they made the right call because it was so close. I think you had to go with the call on the field, and the call on the field was that it was good.
I've seen it 10 times, and I still have no clue.
It looks different from different angles.
Yeah, if he actually got in, I have no idea.
It was amazing that he kept his body parallel and in bounds. They said he was a former long jumper in high school. You could kind of see that, but good way for him to finish off the game because besides that, he kind of had a poor performance, I thought, Saturday. But huge win for Indiana, and now they're ranked 17th in the AP, 19th in the coaches, but AP is the one that shows on TV. So highest ranking I can ever remember them
I don't
being.
remember last time they were ranked.
I think they got ranked in one of the polls last year.
Last
for
year.
24th for
they
1
did.
week, and then they lost.
Yeah.
So then Purdue hosts Iowa. Like I mentioned, Purdue was playing without head coach Jeff Brom, which we knew that last Monday on the show. We did not know that star wide receiver Rondell Moore was not going to be playing. Still don't know why he wasn't playing. Don't know if he's going to play this week. Don't really know what's going on. From a fan standpoint, it's very frustrating. They're so secretive about it. Jeff Brom was asked about today in his weekly press conference. He said the team is ready for Rondell to return when he's ready, kind of. And they asked him to kind of say more. And he goes, I apologize. That's all I can say at this moment. So it's really strange. There's some people close to Rondell saying it's not injury-related. Well, can you at least say it's not injury-related then and calm everybody a little bit? What's going on?
Maybe he's having second thoughts again about coming back in. He just
the
toying with your heart.
He was on the sidelines during the game Saturday with the mask on. Last year, never on the sidelines at all when he was hurt. So it's just a strange. One of my friends said maybe he's trying to get his insurance stuff tied up or something. I have no idea. You can throw every theory out there. One person said, well, I wonder if there's some legal issue with NCAA. That could be, but Bateman playing, and he signed with an agent and then was able to. So I don't think that's the case, but we might not never ever know, and I just hope to see him at some point this year because last year between him and Lorenzo Neal every week it was like, are these guys going to play? And it just gets annoying after a while. I get why coaching staffs are secretive, but I'm not used to it yet. Even though this is the 4th year of this staff, I'm still not used to it because the old staffs kind of just put it out there for everybody to know. So no idea, but Boilers got a gutsy win, 24-20. Aiden O'Connell got the start, which last Monday I spoke. I thought it was going to be Jack Plummer, but I did think we'd see 2 quarterbacks, but Purdue stuck with 1. Threw 3 touchdowns, all to David Bell. That guy's pretty good.
Pretty good.
He's just smooth. He and Graham Mertz were the co-offensive players of the week for the Big Ten. And it was nice to see a Purdue running back go over 100 yards.
I was going to say.
Horvath.
I saw one guy compare him to Brian Leonard. I remember him at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Just kind of a fullback-looking type.
He's great north to south, but when he tries to go east to west, it doesn't work out well. But he only had 24 yards a half, but he had a strong second half. He kept that momentum going last year in the bucket game. He had a real good game against Indiana. And that was another surprise Saturday right before the game. King Doru, the starting running back, hamstring injury in practice this week, so he was out. It's like, oh, my gosh.
He sucked last year, didn't he?
Purdue failed to have 1,000 yards rushing last year for the first time since 2013. So, but he was supposed to be their first string like he was last year. But Horvath was the only guy to get carries. I thought Milton Wright played well as a sophomore. Looked a lot better than he did last year. Purdue's got some targets, some weapons. And I honestly thought the offensive line looked really, really good compared to years past. Defense gave up some yards, but it was kind of bend but don't break, and they made plays when they needed to, and came away with a win against maybe not a great Iowa team, but I think a pretty solid Iowa team, well-coached team at least.
It's a game you should probably win at home.
Yeah, Yeah.
As we said last week, it was a coin flip.
Yeah.
And yours landed on heads, mine landed on tails.
I thought Brian Brom did about as well as he could, calling his first game he's ever coached. And Jeff said he left him alone 24 hours prior to the game to just do what he wanted to do. And
I don't believe you, Jeff. Don't believe you.
I don't know. But, yeah, Jeff Brom and their special teams coordinator both should be back this Wednesday. They were both out with COVID last week. So we will see. They go to Illinois this week for Battle of the Cannon, trying to get the Cannon back from an Illinois butt kicking of 24-6 last year. Just trouncing. The night games were Minnesota, Michigan. It was game day. It was in Minnesota, and Harbaugh's team put on the best offensive performance I think I've ever seen Michigan have in his tenure.
Yeah. Pretty disappointing showing for Minnesota after having such a great year last year. You get a lot of your team back, and they just didn't play very well.
Expectations, and they just got rocked from the beginning, really.
Yeah.
Wasn't even close. And then the other nightcap was Maryland Northwestern. I thought Maryland would put up a lot closer fight. Northwestern looked pretty good.
Tua's brother's not as good as he is.
He was awful the other night. They need to put Josh
What's his
Jackson
name?
back in.
Talia, something like that.
Sounds right.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah, he threw at least 3 picks. He did not look good. And Peyton Ramsey looked really good for Northwestern the other night. Looked like a good fit.
Did we even mention? I think we did mention him as a starter because you called him Patrick.
I thought Hunter Johnson would be the starter.
So
I
did I.
misspoke on that. So
Peyton Ramsey's better quarterback
Yes,
anyway,
he is.
which is weird because Hunter Johnson was like a top 10
kind of a flop.
recruit. Yep.
But Northwestern, an offense that scored 18 points per game last year, put up over 40 the other night. Looked good doing so.
They were even more injured than Purdue was last year. That's kind of there.
Yeah, they were right. Yep, right there. And that was an interesting game between those two last year. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of interesting matchups going on this week in the Big Ten. Let me pull those up right now.
Starting with Minnesota at Maryland Friday night. Who you got?
Minnesota.
Confidence points.
7.
7?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I have Minnesota for 4.
I think Maryland is that bad.
I think Maryland's pretty bad. On the road, though.
If PJ's boys don't bounce back and they start off 0-2, it could be a ugly season up in Minnesota with the expectations they've had.
Can't imagine they'd lose to Maryland, but who knows? Michigan State at Michigan.
I got Michigan. I should have put this at 7. I'm putting this at 6.
I have Michigan for 6 as well. Illinois at Purdue, or Purdue at Illinois.
Yeah.
Screwed that up.
Still, like I said, still don't know if Rondell Moore is going to be back, but I think Jeff Brom's going to get his guys pumped for this one because he said over and over again today how they got their butts whooped, how they got manhandled, this and that. So I'm going to take Purdue for 5.
Purdue for 7.
Oh, wow.
Wisconsin at Nebraska.
This is a hard one because if Mertz plays, I'm taking Wisconsin. I'm not even worried about it.
Sure.
But just that he already has one COVID test, I'm assuming that next one comes positive. I'm taking Wisconsin for 1.
I switched this after I learned about Mertz's positive test. I'm also taking Wisconsin just because I think they're a better football team. Great defense. I've had a great defense for a long time. Wisconsin for 2. Indiana at Rutgers.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. Both teams 1-0. I don't think a lot of people thought they'd both be 1-0. Indiana's got to be careful here. This is one of those huge. They haven't had a win like that for their program in over 20 years, over 30 years. And now you play a team that you think you could cakewalk, but Michigan State looked really bad. But I am taking Indiana, but I'm going to take them for 4.
I think Indiana goes into Rutgers and rolls. But just looking at the schedule, as far as confidence points, I'm only having it for 3 just because I think there's so many blowout
I should have wrote these
opportunities.
down. Sorry, I forgot what I've used on everyone.
You've used 6, 7, 5.
I did win the confidence points for week 1, by the way.
Don't care.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out
And
there.
1. Northwestern at Iowa.
This is a hard game to pick.
Coin flip again.
I think Iowa's about 2.5 point favorite.
Sounds about right. Get about 2 points at home.
I'm going to go Iowa for 2.
I did Iowa for 1. I think they bounce back at home. Which really, home field advantage isn't even that big of a deal anymore. This year, anyway. No.
Great.
We've disagreed as far as points go.
But, yeah.
Ohio State at Penn State. Penn State coming off the rough loss on the road at Indiana. Ohio State coming off the shellacking. Against Nebraska, who you got?
I think the Buckeyes are just a better team. They're 12.5-point favorites, I believe, right now. This would be a whiteout game.
I was
going
to say,
takes away.
If this were a normal season, I could easily pick Penn State here, but I'm not going to.
Yep. And this is a game day location, so back-to-back weeks. It's like, yeah, hello, we've missed the Big Ten. We're going back-to-back locations. I'm taking Ohio State, and I think the only points I have left 3.
Sounds about right.
I think. So.
I took Ohio State for 5. I just think they're too good of a football team.
Yeah, they're real good. Any other takeaways from college football this past weekend at all?
Didn't watch a whole lot, as I said. Syracuse hung in there against Clemson for a while.
Yeah, after getting smoked by Liberty.
Liberty, yeah.
Who's now ranked.
I didn't even know they were Division
They
One.
I think last year.
Same with Coastal Carolina. They were ranked as well. I don't know if they lost.
They had won 4 total games last 2 years.
Yeah, cool.
Now they're up to 20th. Marshall's 19th.
It's a weird season.
But now that you are getting the Big Ten in, I see Pac-12 teams are now being ranked because they're going to start their season next week, I believe. Or is it in 2 weeks? Maybe they're 6-game
When
season.
does the MAC start? MAC starts here, I think, this week, maybe?
This week or next week? Yeah, so we're starting to get a lot of football back on TV, which is fun. I still wish the Big Ten would allow some fans in. I don't agree with tons, but the other conferences are doing some. But I don't see that changing. It'll be interesting to see what they do with basketball. But Alabama lost one of the most entertaining guys in the nation to watch.
Yes, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver. He'll be a likely top.
Did you see Saban's comments?
Yeah, I'm sure he said something stupid like he always does.
He said it's terrible to see a player like that go out, but he goes, there's a reason he shouldn't have brought that ball out of the end zone. He pretty much said he should have kneeled it for a touchback. And it's like, did he really just say that? It was like halftime. But they rolled Tennessee.
Picking some other top 25 matchups here. We have Marshall, 5-0 Marshall at 0-3 Florida International, who just got beat by, I want to say, Florida A&M or somebody.
I don't know.
Terrible.
Florida International's coach is.
Butch Jones.
Is it Butch?
Not Butch Jones.
Butch Davis?
Butch Davis, yes.
I'm going with Marshall.
Marshall Large. Boston College, 4-2 BC at number 1 Clemson.
Boston College team's pretty good, but I'm taking Clemson.
Guess the spread on that one.
28.
31.5. Kansas State, number 20, at West Virginia.
Yeah, Kansas State, since that horrible Week 1 loss, has really rolled. And I'm taking the Wildcats to go into West Virginia and go into Morgantown and get a win.
They are 3.5-point underdogs. Give me the favorites, West Virginia.
Well, you're kind of a West Virginia fan at heart.
Take me home. Iowa State at the Les Miles-led Kansas.
Iowa State, huge. They almost pulled off the upset at Oklahoma State, who I think is the best team in the Big 12. Kansas needs to let go of their football program or bump it down to D2.
Iowa State's 28.5-point favorites on the road. Georgia at Kentucky.
So one guy said this was an upset pick, Kentucky over Georgia, but I can't go with that. Kentucky's too inconsistent. Georgia's number 5 still, even after I lost to Alabama for a reason. Give me Georgia.
Georgia's 15-point favorites. I think they go in there and cover. Memphis at number 9, Cincinnati.
I watched a little bit of Cincinnati the other night. Really impressive win from start to finish over SMU. Yeah, give me Cincinnati.
Give me Cincinnati as well.
Cincinnati Bearcats.
Coastal Carolina's 5-0. They travel to Georgia State.
What's Georgia State's record?
2-2.
I picked Georgia Southern to beat Coastal, and I was wrong. I'll go with the Chanticleers this week.
They're only 3.5-point favorites on the road.
That must be a tough little conference.
Give me
Coastal. I feel like the spreads are never big.
Notre Dame at Georgia Tech. We're both picking Notre Dame.
Large.
Texas at Oklahoma State.
Cowboys.
Oklahoma State at home is only 3.5-point favorite.
They're
allowing
a lot of close games.
Quite a few fans there in the Big 12 conference, really.
They're winning a lot of close games. They're the Big 12's best hope right now to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. They're ranked 6th right now. Give me Oklahoma State. Virginia Tech at Louisville.
Virginia Tech had a bad loss at Wake Forest. That job's an interesting one. I think you see that's Fuente's 6th or 7th loss as a ranked team to a non-ranked team in his career. But Louisville's really bad. We saw that again. Or no, they beat Florida State.
Lost 12-7 to Notre Dame.
Yes. Yeah, I'll take Louisville. What the heck? I got to take something.
Virginia Tech only 3.5-point favorites. I think Louisville beats them. Mississippi State, Mike Leach's boys hasn't been too great since beating LSU opening week. Traveled to Alabama.
Yeah, I'm taking Alabama pretty easily.
Bama covers. They're 31.5 point.
Ooh, that's a big spread, but they're pretty good.
Missouri at Florida.
Interesting matchup here. Neither team played last week, and Florida didn't play the week before that. Missouri beat LSU, I think, the last time we saw them in action.
Missouri did play this past week
Did
and beat Kentucky.
So it was the week before they didn't play.
I think it was the week
Vanderbilt.
before, yes.
It's Vanderbilt's, but yeah, that was they beat Kentucky because I said Kentucky's been so inconsistent. But give me Florida.
Give me Florida as well. They're 13-point favorites. Navy at Southern Methodist University. Southern Methodist is ranked 16th.
Give me SMU.
Same. Arkansas at Texas A&M.
Arkansas is one of the surprise stories around the nation. But A&M is ranked 8th.
7th on this one.
7th or 8th.
They have a loss, though.
Yep.
Every
to
year.
Alabama.
Every year.
But give me A&M in this one.
Same. North Carolina at Virginia. 1-4 Virginia.
Virginia gave your Canes all they wanted the other night.
They did. I was
I'm
chewing
sure
my
you're
fingernails.
sweating bullets. But give me North Carolina.
Give me North Carolina. Sam Howell is one of the best
That's a good
quarterbacks
basketball matchup usually every year.
Yeah. Old Tony Bennett against Roy. Western Kentucky, 2-4 at Brigham Young.
BYU is what, 11th?
12th.
They haven't played anybody.
6-0.
But give me BYU.
BYU is 28.5-point favorites. They so far, if the schedule will load for me, which it's not loading, thanks, have played Navy, Troy, Louisiana Tech, Texas San Antonio, Houston at Houston. It's not a bad one.
Yeah, it's not a bad one.
And Texas State. But
give me BYU.
For the most part, they haven't. Give me BYU as well.
That's all we got?
I think that's all we got for college football talk.
Looking forward to another fun week of college football. But speaking of fun week of football, we had an interesting week 7 in the NFL. And I know you're all dying in anticipation knowing who won the belt. Well, it's interesting. I'm up 6 points going into tonight's game. We both picked the Rams. I only picked them for 1. J-Man picked them for 11. So I need the Bears to win, really. But so the belt's going in the middle.
You will find out tomorrow, or actually tonight, who wins the belt. We will each take a picture with it.
So beat up, it's just not.
It's not even staying upright.
It's so deformed. Look, it's got a rip on it. It's.
They can't see it behind.
I know.
The thing
I'm not
anyways.
even gonna try to replace that.
But anyway, give me 3 winners, 3 losers.
All right. Well, give me one of my winners. How about the Detroit Lions?
Sure.
Nice comeback late. Of course, it helped that Atlanta just finds new ways to choke every week.
Shocker.
It's ingrained in their culture ever since they blew a 28-3 Super Bowl lead against the Patriots in Super Bowl 51. But Matthew Stafford looked good yesterday.
He's clutch, man.
Now all of a sudden they're 3-3. Maybe they're going to pull off a good season and save their coach's job.
They're also one of my winners. They're playing inspired football, and they're right in the thick of things in the NFC.
San Francisco 49ers. We both went against them last week. We were like, Hoodie doesn't. His teams don't lose 2 games. They went in there. They not only beat them, they demolished them.
Killed them.
Broke Cam Newton in half again. That guy might be just done. They might roll with Stidham. Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFC.
Whoa. Better than Sean Payton?
I think he is right now. His team's still banged up. Guys still get hurt every week, and he just finds ways to win football games. I wanted to say he's the best coach in the league, but I'm not going to go that high. But I think he is in the NFC.
Speaking of that game, the New England Patriots for the second straight week are a loser in my book. Cam Newton, garbage. Entire offense is garbage. The quarterbacks combined with him and Jarrett Stidham threw 4 interceptions. They're not a good football team.
And I think we kind of hit on this last week, and maybe it was off the air, but gotta think Josh McDaniels is hurting his job potential.
Should have jumped when he had the chance.
Well, he had it. He had the close job.
I know. He's had
out.
many chances.
Yep.
And he just hasn't done it. Another winner, Arizona Cardinals, getting a dub last night. They're 5-2.
They're a team we can't make up our mind. You were all on board. Then you said nope. They're back.
I was pretty high on them,
and now they're rolling again.
Yeah. Put the Seattle Seahawks in primetime every single week.
It's always a good game
because they'll be great games.
I got to pick one more winner. I haven't done any losers. I'm trying to think who all played. I'll give the Cleveland Browns a win. Last second win when it looked like they were going to lose to the Cincinnati Bengals. OBJ out for the year with a torn ACL. That might be a blessing in disguise. It might be an addition by subtraction situation. It might help Baker play a lot better. I thought Baker played pretty good yesterday, but showed Joe Burrow. But
Baker threw 5 touchdowns.
Exactly. So give me the Browns. That's my
Browns have played absolutely nobody. Look at their wins. Bengals twice. Redskins, Cowboys, Colts. That's it. Colts is a pretty good win.
Mm-hmm.
Their 2 losses against really good teams, Ravens 38-6, Steelers 38-7.
They weren't even close.
But looking at the Cleveland Browns schedule, they have the Raiders at home, Texans at home, Eagles at home, Jacksonville, both New York football teams. I mean, that team is going to make the playoffs.
I could see them maybe losing one
of those. Yeah. And then they have, of course, the Ravens and Steelers again.
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
This team should at least be 11-5 by the end of the year.
Losers, you already gave
Patriots
and
I haven't gotten to any.
Oh,
my other winners, Pittsburgh Steelers,
Okay.
Cemented themselves as a top 3 team in the AFC.
Oh, I think they're best team in football right now.
They might be. Yeah.
They are first time they've been 6-0 since 1978 under Chuck Noll. So they're the last undefeated team standing. So you're hoping they lose. So Mercury Morrison, you can pop that champagne and.
I have never really cared about that, to be honest.
I'm just I know the older Dolphin fans probably do. So,
yeah.
3 losers. I'm gonna put my Denver Broncos as a loser. I didn't expect them to win, but I expect them to be a lot more competitive, especially coming off a road win at New England. That's now not looking so good. But it wasn't so much the defense. I thought the defense played pretty good. They forced Kansas City into 0 for 8 on third down attempts. But special teams was garbage. It has been garbage for years. Offense was garbage. Drew Lock was garbage. That was the worst game I've ever seen him play in a Broncos uniform. And I got to be honest, he's got to get it going. He's got to start because this is his year. It's his year to prove it, and he's not showing any consistent football right now. Throwing off his back foot a bunch yesterday. I don't know if he's trying to make too much happen. It was frustrating. It seemed like he was not taking what the defense was giving him, which was like 8 to 10 yard routes, and looking for the deep ball all game, and it just wasn't working. Melvin Gordon was awful yesterday, and Philip Lindsay was playing well, and he got hurt. Concussion. Melvin Gordon fumbled once and threw the worst lateral for a flea flicker attempt I've ever seen in my life. So, yeah, I'm putting my boys in the loser column.
They're also in my loser column. As we've said, they had a chance to show the NFL they were for real after that win.
Well, what's frustrating to me is your rivals of the Raiders beat the Chiefs. Chargers took them to overtime, and you just get killed.
Will they beat the Chiefs ever again?
Yes, but it is 10 straight now, and it won't happen at Arrowhead in December. It's going to be a while.
Offense it's painful to watch. I don't know how you do it every single week.
It should be better, and it's not. There's not good quarterback play, and really, I don't know enough if Shermer's calling good plays or not to say that. But I still don't want the coach fired like most of the Bronco fans right now on Twitter. It's kind of getting annoying.
4th straight week, the NFC East is on my list.
That's our Sunday night game this week.
Every team is bad, but we're forced to watch at least one of the teams on primetime every single week. Cowboys had one of the most pathetic performances in the history of the NFL against the football team. Just got killed. Eagles, the supposed best team in the division, just should have gotten beat by a really bad Giants team. Contract division. Don't let them play in the playoffs, and they're going to host a freaking game.
It's just like the NFC West that
It's
one year when Seattle
pathetic.
made it at 7-9.
Absolutely pathetic.
Trying to think another loser for me. I almost want to put the Bills as a loser, but they won, so I'm not going to. They played bad. I guess New England will be a loser for me as well. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but they were just awful. I mean, I haven't seen a New England team look that bad in a long, long, long time. Probably pre-Belichick days. And third loser, no, I'm going to go with the Raiders. Tampa Bay's finding their stride. I could have put them in the winners category, but Raiders coming off, 2 weeks ago, they looked really good against Kansas City, and then just not so good at home yesterday. So I didn't watch any of the game, but.
Huge news we haven't even talked about. The Miami Dolphins have made a quarterback switch, going to number 5 overall pick, Tua Tagovailoa. It was time to make the change. It felt bad for old Fitzy because he played his heart out, as he does. And he was very open in his press conference last Tuesday, saying he was heartbroken by the decision. But again, great teammate. He's going to do whatever he can to help Tua transitioned well. The team just hadn't scored enough points, and they're going to have to. And you can't take playoff appearances for granted. Dolphins are right there for that 7 spot with teams like the Colts, Raiders as well, and the Browns are right there, obviously. And I just think Tua was the right guy to go to at this time. It was the bye week. I had read that, in a normal schedule, they were supposed to play Denver last week.
Yes.
And the plan was to play Tua a lot in the second half of that game, and then make the change after that. So it'll be interesting to see. I think he's ready. Teammates say that he's been unbelievable in practice, and the team loves him as much as they love Fitz. So it'll just be interesting to see. Hopefully he can take the offense to the next level because the defense has played great for the majority of the year. So that was kind of the big NFL news of the week.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we even talked about it before we went on the air. And
I completely forgot about it too, which is weird. But getting to Week 8 picks starting Thursday night, we have the Chokers at the Carolina Panthers.
Atlanta Falcons, if you didn't catch that reference. But Panthers 3-4. I lost a close game to New Orleans, who I don't know if Michael Thomas is ever going to play for that team ever again. Give me the Panthers for 8.
I have the Panthers for 6, so we're kind of on the same page there. New England at Buffalo. Buffalo for years couldn't beat New England. Tom Brady's no longer there, obviously. New England's looking real bad, but this is usually when Bill Belichick's teams come out and play great.
I don't think it's going to happen this year. Give me Buffalo for 12.
I have Buffalo for 10. I think
this is Buffalo's division.
I agree.
I think Dolphins are right.
I think
right
they'll
in
be
the
right
mix.
there. But yes, give me Buffalo for 10. Tennessee at Cincinnati.
Cincinnati Bengals. I am not choosing. I'm taking the Titans for 11. But man, I like Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. He is good.
Yeah, Joe Burrow. Once they get him in offensive line, he's been hit at just unbelievable.
Passed over
amount.
300 yards 4 times already, tied for second most ever by a rookie. Of course, first is Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm. Steven Gostkowski had to make that chip chop field goal yesterday to tie the Steelers late. Remember, Titans kickers last year went 8 for 18. Yeah. And now this year, Steven Gostkowski's 10 for 15.
And 3 of those misses were week 1 against Denver.
So he'd been on a pretty nice roll. But he has to make that kick. But anyway, give me Tennessee for 7. Las Vegas Raiders at the Cleveland Browns.
They're OBJ-less, like I said, but I think that's going to benefit Baker. I think it's going to benefit Jarvis Landry. They found a nice new target in one of their tight ends yesterday. I don't remember his name.
Austin Hooper?
Austin Hooper had surgery where appendix out, so he's out 2 weeks. It wasn't Njoku. He got a touchdown, but it was the other one. It was another
Harrison
guy.
Bryant.
Yes.
That's his name.
So I think that's a nice. He's got a trio of nice tight ends there. Give me the Browns for 6.
I have the Browns for 5. Baker. It looked like they were going to lose all game, and then Baker found a way to win at the end. He was real bad early, but ended up throwing 5 touchdowns.
Throw and catch at the end of the game.
Indianapolis Colts at the Detroit Lions.
Actually, a really intriguing matchup. All of a sudden, 4-2 and 3-3. Give me the Lions for 5.
I have the Lions for 3.
I don't like this.
Colts were on bye, of course, this past week, and hopefully they can figure out some things on offense because Phillip needs to play better. But yeah, give me the Lions. I like the way they've been playing.
I think Jim Irsay's phone's been ringing from Jerry Jones asking about Jacoby Brissett.
I'm sure Chris Greer's phone's been ringing there in Miami about Ryan Fitzpatrick too.
Nobody wants to give Dallas anything.
No,
they could still win the division.
Yeah, no one likes Dallas. Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers.
Vikings had a bye this past week. They much
needed
a bye. Kirk Cousins got to start playing better, but I don't see it happening this week. Packers bounce back against the Texans. Give me the Packers for 10.
Give me the Packers for 13. Rodgers looked great. Devontae Adams tore up yesterday.
Yeah.
They're just a lot better than Minnesota. The New York Jets at the Kansas City Chiefs. What's the score of this game going to be? Will the Jets be within 35?
No.
This feels like an Alabama versus like a Marist.
This is as bad as it gets for the NFL.
Yeah. Alabama versus an FCS team.
I mean, it's no-brainer for both of us. Chiefs for 14.
Chiefs, Chad Henne played on
the
Sunday.
spread on this game?
I think Chad Henne will play a quarter and a half.
What's the spread?
I don't know.
I'll check.
Give me the Chiefs 51-10. It's going to be a college-like score.
It's going to be bad. Let's see if they even have a line out yet.
I'm going to guess 18.5.
19.5.
That's the largest NFL spread I've ever seen.
Wow.
Man. Anyway, the Los Angeles Rams travel out east to the Miami Dolphins.
One of the toughest predictions for me because I don't know what Tua's going to bring to the table. And I don't know how the Rams are going to play tonight. That's what I always hate about the Monday night games.
Plus, short week and have to play at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
That's a good point. But Aaron Darnold and this defense can get nasty at times. I think Dolphins keep it close, but I'm taking the Rams, but only for 3 points.
Dolphins for 2. I would even say book it. Speaking of book it, I forgot to do the read. J-Man's Book of Predictions of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Watchering for life, home, auto, renters, business, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watchering@infb.com. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. This should be the Sunday nighter.
Should, but it's a 1 o'clocker. At least we're getting some good 1 o'clock games lately. 2 in a row involving Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Best defense in the league against a pretty good offense. I think the undefeated team goes down. I'm taking the Ravens for 4.
I have the Ravens for 4 as well. Great minds think alike.
I really thought today Josh could pick the Steelers, so I'm picking the Ravens to change it up. But at least we have disagreed on one game, which Ravens this past week we disagreed on one game. Yep. I picked Arizona. You picked Seattle.
That cost me, too.
I picked Arizona for 2, but
cost
you
me
Seattle
dearly.
For 5, I think.
I did. The Los Angeles Chargers, no longer of Carson City. They're now of Inglewood, at the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, the Chargers got a win. First win under with Herbert as quarterback yesterday against the reeling Jacksonville Jaguars. A little storyline for Denver fans here. Old buddy Chris Harris Jr., I think, makes his return. He's been hurt since week 2. I think he makes his return this week against Denver. But I'm actually going to take the Broncos, even though they looked like trash yesterday, but I'm taking them for 1 point.
On the flip side here, Chargers for 1. Herbert's played great.
Kind of a coin flip.
Not a believer in Drew Lock. I know it hasn't been that long.
It's been 9 starts, but it's
8 great.
touchdowns, 7 picks,
yeah.
1,000-some yards. It just has been very inconsistent. Mm-hmm. I want him to be.
He has to.
I want him to be the guy, but like you, he has to start this week. Mm-hmm. You got L.A. and Atlanta back weeks. You have to start.
Have to win both of them.
Because if he doesn't get done this year, they got to look elsewhere, and it's a whole carousel again. And I'm tired of it.
Okay. I feel no sympathy.
I know you don't. I realized who I was talking to after I said that. I forgot. I'm not talking to a Colts fan who's tired of it after like 2 years.
New Orleans at Chicago. Bears, of course, we need to see play tonight, and they keep winning somehow.
Yeah, I keep thinking that New Orleans got to get their guys back. But I think Sanders
New Orleans hasn't played that great.
Know. He tested positive for COVID. Michael Thomas been out, but I thought New Orleans their offense I thought looked good yesterday.
It looked better.
Drew looked better. I am going to take the Saints for 7. I'm going to hear it from Bear fans like I already am, and I deserve it.
I'm taking the Saints for 9. The Bears are the worst 5-1 team I've ever seen, ever. They're not good.
They're the worst 6-1 team.
I know.
Or actually, next week we might be saying they're the worst 7-1 team.
San Francisco at Seattle. I picked this game before seeing the score last night, and I had an opportunity to change it. But I'm taking Seattle, and I have 8 points on it.
Taking the Niners for 2.
Ooh,
2 weeks in a row, I'm taking the opponent of Seattle for 2. But I'm a big, I know everybody knows I'm a big Kyle Shanahan fan. I gave him praise earlier, and I just like what he does with this team every week.
Great Sunday night matchup. Dallas Cowboys at Philadelphia Eagles. God bless me.
Give me the Eagles for 9.
Give me the Eagles for 11. As I said, both teams are garbage. I'm as a big old middle finger to the NFL. Josh is not going to watch a second of that game.
Oh, you know what makes me mad about the Cowboys? Andy Dalton gets knocked out on a dirty hit yesterday. Cowboys don't even go up and get in Bostic's face or anything. If that was Dak Prescott, fists are flying. Mm-hmm. Get up and protect your quarterback.
That was a cheap shot.
Very cheap shot. I mean,
do you remember
that just makes me mad.
Do you remember the Kiko Alonso on Joe Flacco? That was very similar.
Just stand up for your teammate, your locker room brother.
The locker room's whining.
ticked me off.
They're too busy whining about the coaching staff than they are to care about.
Well, Coach probably could have gone after this.
Has to be. Maybe not even.
They might be in
few more weeks
in line
of this.
for Lawrence or Fields, even though they'd have to say bye-bye to Dak. But maybe Dak ends up like an Indy next year or something.
That'd be interesting. That'd be real interesting. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New York Football
What another
Giants.
trash primetime game. Give me the Buccaneers for 13.
The Monday Nighters haven't been great lately. Tonight's pretty good. Give me the Bucs for 12. Giants should have won that game in Philadelphia, but they didn't.
At least they scored on the drive that Daniel got tripped by the invisible wire. He was hauling.
He's
That's
fast.
the sixth fastest speed they've recorded in the last couple of years.
The highest quarterback speed.
Yeah,
he can move,
was
man.
Flying.
Yeah, he can move.
Why don't they do? Well, you don't want him to get hurt. I was going. Why don't they do more?
More read option.
Pass options. Yeah, pass run options.
Who has the buys this week? I didn't write them down.
Well, I was thinking in my head. What team did we not? Well, I'll just do this. This is a lot easier. Buys are Arizona, Houston, Jacksonville, and Washington.
3 of the worst teams in the NFL right there not
Even
playing.
though Washington's right in the mix for the division title. Their defense was nasty yesterday, sacking the Cowboys. But like I said, the Cowboys are just garbage right now.
Remember when people were talking about Jacksonville as, well, they don't need Lawrence. They got Minshew.
I kind of
came out in the
jumped
middle.
on the train. And,
yeah. Came out yesterday that Minshew was in danger of getting benched if he played one more
Who's their
bad game.
backup?
It's embarrassing. I should know that.
But one more rant real quick before I go to the Birdie Bogey. Can we stop talking about the Cowboys every year? This is 25 years in a row. They haven't done anything. We hype them up every year. The media hypes them up every year to be something they're not. They're so-called America's team. They literally haven't done anything for 25 years. I am sick of it.
Yeah.
And they still talk about it. That's all they're talking about today is Cowboys on national television.
It's pathetic. They keep doing it because people
most
still
overrated team in sports.
People still watch it. That's why they just do it for ratings.
Yeah.
They just talk about them because people still.
They're
It's
Knicks.
pathetic.
I've heard enough about them. Both of them.
The Jaguars' backup is 2020 6th round pick Jake Luton out of Oregon State. Luton?
Wow.
Luton? Risque.
Ready for the Birdie Bogey?
Let's hear it. I have 2 names in mind.
Yesterday was National Tight Ends Day. What tight end has the most career touchdowns in NFL history?
Man, 2 players in mind. I'm going to choose the wrong one. You know the 2 players I have in mind, too. The smile. Oh, man. Are you trying to throw me off? Is that what you're trying to do?
I don't know, man.
Oh.
They're both great players.
I know. Tony Gonzalez. Antonio Gates.
Got to take your first answer.
Crap!
It's a bogey. Antonio Gates had 116. Tony Gonzalez 112.
I knew that, too. That's the thing, and I talked myself out of it. Crap.
Hey, I will give you, at least you had the right 2. At least you didn't say like Kellen Winslow Sr. or Jeremy Shockey or who would I
Mike
throw? Shannon
Ditka.
Sharp, or I would have thrown out like Marcus Pollard or
Ken Dilger.
Randy McMichael. All right, we're gonna stop before we just start throwing out every tight end we can think of. But that's gonna do it for episode 206 of the Tan and J Man Show. Thanks for listening, wherever you're listening to this podcast at. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review. Rating really helps us move up on the charts among the other sports podcasts. It really helps us out a lot. And if you're watching, thanks for watching the IFC Sports Network. Download the IFC Sports Network app if you haven't already. It's free. You can even pay a monthly subscription to watch all of our archive shows from the past 2 years that we've been on the network. And we'll be back next Monday for episode 207. Same time, same channel. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Have a great week, everybody.